You know that quiet financial anxiety? That feeling that, hey, even when you're doing everything right, you got a good job, a decent salary, you feel like you're just treading water? Well, today we're going to break down this simple, powerful math that can actually change all of that.
Just picture this for a second. You're in your car, sitting in the work parking lot. You just checked your banking app, and the number you see is fine. It's always fine, but it never, ever feels like it's enough, and you can't quite put your finger on why. It's that little pause you take before you have to get out and walk into the building. That feeling? That's what this is all about.
So, to really get what's going on here, let's look at a tale of two people. We'll call one of them you, and the other your coworker. Imagine you both start at the exact same company, with the exact same salary. You're at the exact same starting line.
Okay, now this is where things get really interesting. A single event, a $5,000 raise, ends up creating two completely different futures. You did what seems totally reasonable, right? You upgraded your life a little. A nicer apartment, a more reliable car. I mean, you earned it. But your coworker, she made a different choice. She decided to just keep living on her old salary and invest every single new dollar that came in.
So let's fast forward 15 years. You're maybe still in that parking lot doing that same mental math, but your coworker, she just got an automated email. Her investment portfolio generated $4,800 last month. Her paycheck from her job was $5,250. Her past decisions are now paying her almost as much as her actual job.
So how on earth did she do it? Well, this isn't about some vague dream of being rich. It's about a specific, historically validated number. It's a real, tangible target. Let's call it your freedom number.
The whole concept comes from something called the 4% rule. A financial researcher named William Bengen discovered that even if you retired at the worst possible time, right before a market crash, you could still withdraw 4% of your portfolio each year and have an incredibly high probability of your money lasting for at least 30 years. And this is what's so brilliant about it. The math is incredibly simple. To find your number, you just flip the 4% rule on its head. Just take the annual income you want your investments to generate for you and multiply it by 25. That's it. That's the target.
So, let's put that into practice. If you want to replace a $60,000 salary, your freedom number is $1.5 million. Now I know, that might sound like a huge, intimidating number, but it's a real destination, not just a guess. And the amazing part is, the portfolio keeps working for you, generating that income while the principal can continue to grow.
All right, so how do you get there? This is where the magic really happens. It's all about the compounding snowball. It feels agonizingly, painfully slow at first, but once it gets some momentum, it becomes this unstoppable force.
You know, the legendary investor Charlie Munger had a pretty blunt way of putting it. He wasn't just being colorful. He was stating a mathematical fact. Getting that first big chunk of money working for you is the absolute hardest part. The returns feel almost pointless in the beginning because, let's be honest, numerically they kind of are.
Okay, let's just watch how this thing builds. In the early years, your portfolio might spit out a few $100. You barely even notice it, but look what happens over time. At year 20, you're not doing anything different, and it's generating $35,000 a year. By year 30, it's throwing off $70,000 a year entirely on its own. It's officially employed itself.
And this right here is the part that should just blow your mind. In just that final decade, from year 20 to 30, you put in $120,000 of your own money. But the market adds $560,000. The machine is now doing almost 5 times more work than you are.
So if the math is so powerful, why do so few people actually experience this? Well, we have to talk about the main villain of this story, lifestyle inflation. It's this invisible force that keeps you stuck on the financial treadmill.
This is the question that gets right back to that parking lot feeling. You know you're earning a good income. You're not being reckless, but at the end of the month, there's just not much left. So let's actually diagnose the problem.
Take a look at this typical budget. Rent, car payment, student loans. I mean, before you've even bought a cup of coffee, almost your entire paycheck is spoken for. Each one of these expenses is totally reasonable on its own, but you add them all up and they build a lifestyle that just eats your salary, leaving just this tiny little sliver for saving. And here's the cold, hard math of that budget. Saving just under $400 a month means you'll hit financial freedom in about 43 years. If you start at 34, you'll be 77. That's not a plan. That's a description of dying at your desk.
So what's the solution? Well, it's not just about earning more, though that definitely helps. The single most important variable, the one you have the most control over, is your savings rate. And the relationship here is just shockingly direct. If you save 10% of what you make, you're looking at 51 years to freedom. But what if you save 50%? That timeline drops to just 17 years. It is an absolute game changer.
Now, if you're not convinced, this slide should do it. This one absolutely demolishes the idea that you need a huge income. A teacher making 55 grand who saves half of it reaches financial freedom in about 17 years. A surgeon making 400,000 who only saves 10%, they need over 50 years. How is that possible? Because the savings rate does two things at once. It grows your portfolio way faster, and it dramatically lowers the amount of money you actually need to be free in the first place.
And you know, this brings us to what the real prize is here. The goal isn't just to stop working. It's about something way more profound. It's about gaining control over your time, your choices, your life.
And it's not just a nice idea, there's actual research on this. The studies on money and happiness all point to the same thing. It's not your net worth on a spreadsheet that makes you happy. 3/4 of the connection between money and your life satisfaction comes from your sense of agency, from feeling like you're the one steering the ship.
And the best part is, you do not have to wait for the finish line to feel the benefits. The moment you have 6 months of expenses saved up, suddenly those company-wide reorgs stop being so terrifying. When you have a couple $100,000 invested, you can walk into a salary negotiation from a position of strength, not desperation. The journey itself completely changes your relationship with work.
It really all comes back to that one simple choice. Your coworker didn't do anything heroic. She just decided that her raise belonged to her future self, not her present self. And then she just let the math do all the heavy lifting. So I'll just leave you with this one question to think about. The next time you get a raise, whose is it?